Hi everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anusha Nerella. I'm a senior software engineer at State Street Corporation. I have spent my career at the intersection of AI, financial technology, and regulatory compliance. I like to call myself an AI or FinTech innovator because my work sits where three urgent realities collide. So, majority are like financial crime at industrial scale, global regulatory pressure on AI, the enterprise demand for systems that are not only smart but also trustworthy and regulatory ready. Over the years, I have led programs from AI powered forex trading workflows to fraud aware payment systems. The systems process billions daily, and in them, trust and auditability are not optional, they are survival. As one regulator said recently, AI in finance is not about speed, it's about accountability. That's the theme I want to carry through this talk. So, fraud and regulatory pressure are both at an all time high. Traditional fraud systems are slow, reactive, and generate far too many false positives. AI has now become mission critical infrastructure. This is no longer a tech experiment, it's about protecting economies, reputations, and customer trust. Today, regulators explicitly say if AI touches critical financial decisions, it must be explainable and auditable. And why we feel the urgency, why the financial crime is evolving. It's the basic that we do understand. It is evolving just like how technology is evolving in parallel world. About at $3.1 trillion dollars in illicit funds flowed globally in 2023, and less than 1% was seized. Fraudsters are weaponizing generative AI using deepfakes, synthetic identities, and AI generated phishing. The US Treasury's FinCEN issued warnings about deepfake enabled onboarding fraud, and FINRA gave banks operational steps to counter it. As one industry analyst said, fraud has become the new pandemic of the digital economy. Financial crime is now treated as national security risk. For example, when a country is placed on the FATF gray list, correspondent banking flows are restricted overnight. A UK bank uncovered over 1,200 synthetic identity frauds in one quarter, flagged only by anomaly detection AI. So we can know how AI is helping us in identifying the fraudster activities and any sort of intruder. So here come how this becoming a game changer for us to protect our security. And AI changes the equation here. Instead of reactive rulebooks, we have real-time fraud interception, anomaly detection, and predictive defenses. This is the coverage at scale, scanning billions of microtransactions in million seconds. AI doesn't just find the needle in the haystack. It shows you who put it in there and how. I can clearly tell you about a use case here. Graph analytics reveal mule account networks. NLP spots forged KYC calls. So these are like one of such use cases. We could say how it is becoming a game changer in identifying such forged identities and all. So how we can say like with the pattern recognition capabilities. So here, the revolution, a revolution in fraud detection can be clearly explained. How 90% of financial institutions are now using AI for fraud prevention. And the results are we can clearly see fraud losses down 39%, efficiency brought up 43%, false positive reduced by 34%. Boards care about dollar weighted false positives. If your system flags $10 million dollars in legitimate trades, you're not saving money, you're destroying trust. So I would say we have to deep dive into this. So, coming here, when we are trying to deep dive how AI detects crime, AI fraud detection is multi layered. Supervised learning caches known fraud. When we give agents saying specific controls, then that is called supervised learning. and that catches known fraud. Like we feed some identified scenarios into the system, and it will identify when such scenarios hit our system. So that is called known fraud. Unsupervised models find new anomalies. Graph analytics expose fraud rings. NLP monitors documents and communications. Executive pointer, when I would say as myself, what separates leaders from laggards is continuous learning pipelines. Static ML is obsolete. If you're not retaining models daily, you're falling behind. I would like to describe a few case studies in this, which I personally read about it and I felt it is very relevant in this use case. HSBC is one of such clients which used NLP for compliance monitoring. HSBC faced a huge compliance challenge, monitoring millions of client communications and documents for potential misconduct. Traditional keyword based surveillance was too rigid, it missed context and overwhelmed analysts with noise. By introducing natural language processing, HSBC was able to parse the meaning of conversations instead of just the words. AI models could flag suspicious intent, subtle collusion, or inconsistent documentation far more accurately. The result? Analysts could prioritize high risk cases while disregarding irrelevant chatter. Case handling speed improved, compliance costs fell, and regulators viewed HSBC controls as significantly more robust. And I could say clear lesson for everybody in the tech industry. NLP is just not about sentiment analysis. In compliance, it enables institutions to meet reasonable surveillance standards at scale. And one other client, PayPal, used machine learning for fraud detection. PayPal processes over 40 million transactions a day. We as a regular user, we do use a lot of time through as a various modes of payment at various locations. So at that scale, fraud cannot be managed by static rules. It has to be dynamic partitioning. So PayPal built a layered fraud detection engine using gradient boosted decision trees, deep learning, and anomaly detection pipelines. The models analyze hundreds of features from device fingerprints to transactions. Um, they have a great velocity of it and continuously refine as fraud pattern shift. The outcome I could explain as PayPal has been able to maintain real time fraud detection with sub second latency. That's why we are able to use it with utmost trust. And I could say, it didn't lose customers. Even like me, I didn't lose trust in people, even now. So if you let fraud through, you lose the credibility and use the client trust. That's the directly proportional part, I could say. And another client, JPMorgan Chase, they used Coin platform for legal documents. JP Morgan's legal department was drowning in documents. Reviewing contracts, compliance, paperwork consumed thousands and thousands of hours for them annually. They developed Coin, contract intelligence, and AI system using NLP to review legal contracts in seconds. This didn't just save time, I would say. It reduced human error, improved compliance, and freed up lawyers to focus on higher value regulatory strategy. It's more of complaints is just not about fraud detection. It's also about documentation integrity, which we needed at most. And AI can make back office dysfunctions far more efficient than anything. And another client, Danske Bank, Wirecard laundering detection. So it has caught in one of the Europe's largest money laundering scandals linked to Wirecard. Billions in suspicious flows. I heard about they had to move Baltic branches undetected by traditional systems. So they adopted AI powered anomaly detection to re examine the transactions. Graph analytics helped them in a bigger way in order to reveal hidden laundering networks and linked entities the manual reviews they had missed in the initial processing. So with this scandal, their reputation got damaged. The AI-driven forensic analysis became their blueprint for regulators and institutions worldwide, and how they can catch laundering schemes. So that got much better for them. So they, I would say, like, this is their lesson, how AI can mitigate a crisis, but it can also build the trust uh, within that span of time, even preventing the systemic failures. So I would say, for me, from my perspective as an expert in this, AI doesn't just reduce fraud. It depends and defends the institutional trust, and firms that invest in explainability secure regulatory approval faster than uh, usual. And we got evolved with so many tools and frameworks through these years, and currently we have been using many subscription basis models or trial basis models, there are so many versions that has been released, and in a competitive manner, I would say. So organizations are trying to do a POCs in parallel universe to understand which one is helping in a better and efficient way, considering the trust and the compliance perspective. So when I'm considering about any tool or framework, I need to consider, like, how these tools can be, like Feed AI or Darktrace or Palantir, any such frameworks, how they can be embedded in the hybrid level ecosystems. I would always think in that perspective. It has to come from the future insight. So it cannot be like a not now. It has to be like a down the lane. Future generations has to have a proper agenda and vision towards utilization of these tools and frameworks. So vendor platforms combined with these in-house and open source frameworks, they're trying to raise concerns about a third-party AI risk. So we cannot outsource accountability in this perspective. So I would say it's still in the progress and evolving phase until everything has been confined with trust. So we will definitely be facing one or the other scenario at some point in the accountability perspective. But yeah, I think we would be able to crack that as well. So, and coming to the compliance integration and the regulatory tech, I would say compliance must be automated into workflows, like how KYC, like knowing your customer, and AML checks, anti money laundering checks, explainability tools like SHAP and Lime, hybrid models, and real time dashboards. These are falling under regulatory timeline because they have EUA Act have released the prohibitions uh, at various time frames from 2025 early phase of 2025 till like late 2027. So they have targeted to release more prohibitions on this and GPA rules and how long this can be subjected to work. So these are obligations or embedded system based or GPA rules or something that has been released to work until so and so span of time. So until then, I would say, like, whenever you are building something, make sure it is auditable and make sure it is not like, if your AI is not auditable, make sure it is not deployable. That is what one thing I would clearly mention here. Um, Before even you think about announcing it or utilizing it at a high scale, this is the first and foremost pointer I would try to convey to any enterprise level executives to think in this perspective. And considering our US enterprises, how we are trying to align to NIST RMF, that is one of the governing standard that we are trying to follow in terms of governing maps, measures, and trying to manage both the US and EU regulators simultaneously. So that's how we are trying to build AI with trust and responsibility. And coming to human and AI partnership, I would say there is one misconception always lies here. It says like AI will replace compliance analysts. I don't know where it is coming from, but I would say, in fact, it augments them. So AI handles repetitive triage. Humans focus on complex contextual fraud. So, when we are saying complex and contextual fraud, we have so many dimensional use cases that we have to think through. When it is multidimensional perspective, we have to think through how uh, the partnership will work in collaborative fashion. One cannot replace another. It has to be a collaborative manner. So the new roles will be emerging. This misconception has to be removed. AI risk analyst, model auditors, or AI ethics leads, all these are like upcoming essential positions, I would say, with the evolving phases of AI in the current industry. So AI doesn't fire people, and it fires just a traditional way of task implementation, I would say. That has to be replaced for sure. It cannot be replacing the any human resources that are good with tech standards and understanding of how it can be implemented. So because we can evolve along with technology, and it always have to be a collaborative fashion. And I would say my future vision is always lying with when we are entering this age of agentic AI, autonomous monitoring. This plays a key role in behavioral analytics or proactive defenses, policies, standards, and however enterprises must embed all sort of ethics, resilience, and transparency. When we have explainable AI in this picture, suppose if I take an example of when I'm trying to give some controls to agents to do some sort of task on behalf of me, um, then I have to maintain some transparency towards performing the task. Like I'm giving the control to agents to perform. That means I have to give a clear transparency of what is being done, what the agents need to know in order to perform those tasks. Then I can say clear clear capital stress or any sort of stress test can be performed without any issues, so that we can avoid some kind of attacks, like kind of adversarial attacks or data drifts. So these are some possibilities that can happen if we don't maintain explainable AI. And I think everybody is following nowadays, but if somebody is not following, I want everyone to consider this perspective while doing any sort of implementation or providing any controls to autonomous agents. And I would like to close my thought process here, because I have been in this field, um, giving my thought leadership and participating in various panels to contribute to the society and for the nation, for a better society. As a responsible AI representative, I would say it has to be uh, in a defensive manner. Threats are adaptive, but controls must evolve in the parallel universe. And compliance is a design requirement, but I would say it cannot be a checkbox. So I would say it has to be part of the your design principles. So when regulation is here, deadlines has to be binding. Then only we will achieve result oriented, uh, compliance oriented trust from both customers and from the clients. So I would say the future of compliance is just not human versus machine. It's like along with, like human with machine, like under rules of trust, ethics, um, and governance. I would say all this comes into place. So thank you, and I will be looking forward to your questions.